I shamed myself and bullied myself, basically, telling myself that it was all my fault.
Try not to speak to yourself in a voice too nasty for anyone else.
At what level do we have to let go of this idea that we could have really done something largely different to have a different outcome?
That self-talk comes from needing the validation from others.
At the end of the day, there's only so much that we can control.
Totally forking done with this day. And welcome to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hi, y'all. I'm Karista, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self.
Hey.
And welcome. It's been a day already. How about you, my dear? How are you doing today? Why don't you tell me? Brighten my day.
It's what I call the rapid fire day, like pew 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 pew. You know, like where all the requests and all the things you gotta do are just coming at you left and right, and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna dodge some stuff.
I just got a Matrix image.
Yeah.
Just pulling a Neo.
I think that's what I've done today, which I'm actually kind of proud of myself for. I'm like, nope, skirt, one thing at a time, please. Thank you very much. And that's where I've been.
Nice. Very nice.
Which has actually led me to a much more delightful individual today. So,
Well, good.
boundaries.
I love it. That's amazing. It's amazing how helpful boundaries can be.
Yeah.
Especially when people learn how to respect them.
That's been a bigger challenge, but applying them and enforcing them has been a little bit better than I've normally been doing today.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That is tough. Like when you try to enforce them and then you waver because you just like run out of energy to reinforce.
Yep.
Almost. And yeah, it's tough.
Oh my gosh. How about you guys? How is y'all's day going? You listeners, you beautiful individuals here. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Tell us how you're doing. How's your day been? Have you been dodging like a Neo? What's that like? Yeah. So, man, I had an epiphany. I don't even know if you want to call it an epiphany because I know it was guided intervention over the weekend. But a lot of it was like I actually heard in my head some self-talking, right? Mm-hmm. It was more like back talking, to be honest with you.
But in a positive way.
But in like a positive way.
Yeah.
How about you?
My weekend was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Like the weather was really beautiful, so it felt really good to be outside and got to do a little bit of gardening, take the dogs for a walk. That kind of thing. Go to Home Depot.
The Home Depot.
The store for homeowners that are drowning in homeownership.
I don't even, sometimes I wonder, like, how people say that like Whole Foods is like whole paycheck. And I'm like, I don't know. I beg to differ. I feel like Home Depot is worse.
Yeah. There's some validity to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's worse. I think maybe just like flip flops, based on like your lifestyle and what you've got going on in your life and being a homeowner.
So if you're a renter, then Whole Foods is your whole paycheck.
Right. If you're a homeowner, it's like
Home Depot.
Lowe's and Home Depot. We need to come up with a good name for them for that.
Yeah.
Like thanks a lot. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. But today was a little rougher start.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share a little short story to lead us into our topic today. So this morning, got up per the usual late after hitting the snooze button a couple of times. I got up, rolled out of bed, did my normal thing, went to feed the dogs. And with the dogs, like, you play with them. They're excited when they're getting food. And so I grabbed a couple bits of food from the bowl and was tossing them at the dogs like we normally do. Yeah. And so the food bowls were on the kitchen counter with me. Not with me. I wasn't on the kitchen counter.
Were you on the kitchen counter?
Not this morning. And one of my dogs was at the end of the island, and I tossed a piece of food to her, and it bounced off the island, and this was her second piece. She jumped up and jumped face first into the countertop. Oh, and immediately I was like, fuck. you broke another tooth, Nova. I know you did. Like, I didn't hear the noise that I heard the first time she did it. But it's a granite countertop. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
teeth are strong, but I feel like the rock's a little stronger.
Yeah.
So she was more irritated with the fact that I was messing with her lip to look at her teeth. And sure enough, there was a third one that was broken. She was supposed to get 2 of them removed in December. There was a whole bunch of roller coaster emotional things going on with that incident, with trying to get her teeth removed in the first place. And we had to do this whole cardiac workup. Anyways, I digress. So this morning, when she broke that third tooth, I was checking her out. And as I was sitting on the floor looking at her teeth, I started experiencing that negative inner voice talk. And so I berated myself pretty hard and I felt really guilty. I shamed myself and bullied myself, basically, telling myself that it was all my fault, that I don't deserve to be a dog parent, that I'm a horrible dog mom. And, part of that was because the first time she broke the first 2 teeth, I was playing ball with her in the backyard and she booped the ball into a rock wall and ran face first into the rock wall. And so it took a couple hours for me to allow those intense emotions to kind of settle a little bit. And throughout the day, after several conversations that I've had, telling people about my experience this morning, it became apparent to me after several people brought it up that at the end of the day, there's only so much that we can control. And while, yes, I could have tossed the food farther away rather than off the countertop, she's a very strong-willed, rambunctious, high-energy dog. She's a healer Aussie Shepherd mix. So she's a working ranch dog in a neighborhood home.
I was gonna say, I was like, in the burbs.
Yeah, like her job at home is not to herd cattle, it's to herd the squirrels out of the yard. Which she does a great job with that. But she's bullheaded and she kind of just goes through life like a cannonball.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of thank you. No, I'm just kidding.
Both of y'all, poor babies.
So I think in the experience, I think I was the one that was more disturbed by it because she was fine. She wanted to play ball apparently 5 minutes, afterwards. And my husband played ball with her and said that she was doing just fine. She ate her food fine. Did not deter her from eating food.
Interesting.
But we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about that inner voice and the bullying that we do to ourselves.
Yeah.
And even recognizing, at what level do we have to let go of this idea that we could have really done something largely different to have a different outcome. I mean, there's always that possibility, sure. But in the reality of it, I'm not going to not play with my dog.
Right. I was going to say, I was like, I'm grabbing my phone for just a second because I told her earlier when she brought up what topic she wanted to have today. I said, this is really ironic and very validating because I got one of those like astrology app, notifications, daily notifications. And today's notification said, try not to speak to yourself in a voice too nasty for anyone else. And I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like the app messed up and it should have sent it to me instead.
I am your delivery mechanism.
Thank you for being my messenger.
Isn't that funny how that works? I do feel that a lot of the negative self-talk, because I have it too. I have it big time. That you're not worthy enough. You're not good enough. Like no matter what you do, they will never see your greatness. And I feel like a lot of that self-talk comes from needing the validation from others, right? Now, in the sense of like the care for something that you consider your baby or your child or something that's really fragile in your eyes, even though we know that these dogs are like crazy strong and very resilient, as Nova showed, was I'm going to eat my food right after I broke a tooth. You know, I don't think I could do that. So good for Nova, you know, but
That just made me think of when I broke a tooth and like I was freaking out and like went immediately to the dentist and like was holding the tooth. And,
I need you to see this fragile little tooth that I broke and I can no longer eat. Yes.
I even nicknamed my tooth and named it Stumpy.
I was going to say Fraggle Rock. So
That would be another good one.
So I just think that like when it comes to those that we feel responsible to care for, because, you know, and I think that the puppy situation is a very good analogy to what we're talking about, even though it's a real life scenario. It's a good analogy to talk about because I felt the same way when Webster was sick and I was terrified that I was going to lose him and I didn't know what to do and that he had to have all his teeth. My little dog has only got 4 little snarls like left. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got little bat teeth and that's it. And I felt responsible. And it wasn't until I met the right vet and they told me over and over and over again that like periodontal disease is like very common in the breed that you have. I don't think there's anything you could have done to stop this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was bawling thinking I was a bad dog mom, right?
Yeah.
And I had to think about it for a while, like, shit, where did this like fear of me not being able to do the right thing come from? Because it stems from somewhere. Because at the same time that I was going through that, you know, my husband was like perfectly chill about the whole thing. It's okay. We'll just get it taken care of. You know, he'll be fine. And I'm like, where does that sincere, like, you know, how come you're so chill about this?
Yeah.
And I would find myself getting mad at him because he was so chill about it. And he wasn't freaked out like I was because I wanted to bring him to my level.
Yeah.
You know, that whole misery love company
Yeah.
bullshit that we do. So like, and even if he was just saying things and he was scared or nervous or whatever, he never expressed that. He didn't seem that way. So we're going to just go with that one for a minute. But like, you know, even if like he had any thoughts that could have been negative, he chose the positive. And I was like, where do you get that from? Right? That's a deep rooted, you know, either self-taught or taught way of being. Right? Or you just kind of keep it. You come in that way and you stay that way.
Yeah.
You know, because the rest of this, like, you know, demeaning experience that we give ourselves, it's something that we have experienced and decided to like hold on to.
And that's what's wild, right? Like there's so many other experiences that I've had with my dog that have been fun and loving and, you know, there's an exchange of care.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's 4 years old, so there's no lack of that.
Yeah.
And it's wild that we get so laser focused on the negative or what we consider, I guess, not good enough about ourselves that we forget to look at everything that we do well. I didn't want to say do. That we do well.
I was like, say it. Do it.
I obviously still had to say it. And like all of those tiny moments of love and care and cuddles and all those long walks and the extended camping trips with the dogs, you know, the 10-day road trip with camping everywhere. Like those are all wonderful moments that, you know, we've had with the dogs that create amazing memories. Yet something so I don't want to say insignificant, but maybe small as in time.
It's a spur of the moment.
Right. Can leave such a big impact enough that it almost at times overshadows, you know, all those positive things. And so it took me a few hours today, and I'll put a little blame on the fact that it was like 15 minutes after I woke up. as far as going back into those patterns of negative self-talk. Because man, for me, when I wake up first thing in the morning, that processing time is a lot slower.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
I feel like it gets slower the older I get. I'm like, you know?
there is definitely a connection between quality sleep, I think, and having an alarm to wake up versus waking up naturally. But that's just my opinion. And so it took me a few hours to really, I think, even come to terms with the idea that I am a good dog mom. I think in those moments where we are having that negative self-talk, like I do recognize that it can be hard to pull ourselves out of it. But allowing ourselves to become aware of the fact that we are allowing that voice to have a very loud volume.
That's exactly right.
So
I agree. And I also feel like it's interesting to me because we receive the validation so frequently. And you're right, those small moments, big impacting, but small in time moments, like they overshadow so much of the things that are positive. And so let's do this. What are the things? Let's tell each other. And I would love it if those listening or watching this do the same thing. Like if you're watching this with, somebody else, like grab that other person, put us on pause after this, and try it out. Why not? It's a fun game. You can make it to a drinking game if you really want to. So
wait, where's ours?
right? Where's that cocktail? But like name something that you feel you do really well.
Care for others.
Okay. Name something you think I do really well.
How do I put this in words? Honesty, upfront, and supportive.
Amazing. Okay. So for you, I think she gives the best hugs. And she gives the best hugs because she actually means it behind her hugs, right? It's sincerity. And so sincerity is one of like your biggest features that I absolutely love about you. Caring, giving, supportive, and just all around loving in general. Like you follow the baseline of love first. And I think anything that falls outside of that tends to be the thing that pushes you towards the irritation, right? So I love that about you. I think that's part of your firecrackerness. You know what I'm saying? So, but that right there.
What about you?
Oh, right. See? Tenaciousness, right? What did my therapist call me the other day? She said that I was hyper competent. I fucking love that I'm hyper competent. I like that I have the ability to pick up absolutely anything, learn it if I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
And that makes me excited because that gives me empowerment. And I do think I'm pretty bold in my statements. I'll just kind of say what's on my mind.
Yeah. That's what I meant by straightforward. Bold. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So that's what I like about myself. And those are just the beginnings.
Right.
Right? That's just something that you could do on a daily basis to remind yourself how fantastic you are.
And how fantastic the people you surround yourself with are.
Yeah. And if you find yourself in a room with somebody that you can't come up with something, I'm sorry for putting you in that predicament in the first place, but we should probably evaluate the room. So, and that's true. That's actually a really good point. The more you surround yourself with those that can bring about these inspirations for yourself, the more you'll follow through with being inspired to yourself and seeing this like these more positive aspects within.
I think that's, a really good point to why maybe I would like shared the story this morning with people I trust, and they were able to give me some feedback as well.
Yeah.
One of them being stop beating yourself up. And So being able to have a confidant that you can share these, this negative self-talk, because I was honest, I shared that I was beating myself up about this. And at the end of the day, like everybody that I told this to was like, you can't control everything.
It's so true. Control, that little word.
Yeah.
That little word. I would say it's patience and control. Those are actually my two, I think two of my biggest lessons here. Yeah, I'm not doing very good at one of those. It starts with a P. If you needed help figuring that out.
Yeah, if you haven't heard it on any of the episodes. So, when we start recognizing that negative self-talk, like, yes, ideally we could just stick a fork in it and be done with it. Sorry. You can fork it and tell it to fork off and
just be forked.
Go fork yourself.
I'm totally forking done with this day.
But first off, like recognizing that negative self-talk, that's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be you. Like that can be a separate voice that you talk to in like as a different person and tell them like you can fork off.
Yeah. I will say that is something in one of my practices in order to like retrain the thoughts that I have every morning. If I hear something come through that feels completely like separate from where I want to be in life, who I want to be, how I want to behave, how I want to talk to myself, I actually say no in my head or sometimes out loud. Now granted, I told my husband about this, so he understands that if I just yell the word no in the middle of the bathroom and he's not in there and he's like, who the hell is she talking to? He knows what I'm doing, but like communication's big. But that's something I've implemented, and I think that's been one of the more positive things that I've done for myself to hear, because then I can start acknowledging it. Just like you did this morning, you acknowledged it, which is what led you to being open to communicate to others, to seek the help and guidance from those that you trust around you and that you like being in those types of conversations with. I
love that you verbalize that boundary with yourself and that voice.
Yeah. It's necessary.
It definitely makes it more powerful.
It does make it more powerful. It carries a vibration of, I don't fucking think so, and it also helps infuse because there's emotion behind it. Right. And I do believe that when you add something emotional, a strong emotion behind something, you give it more power. Right. So like, in that sense, no, it's okay. In that sense, I'm literally telling myself and this brain that wants to record everything and then reinforce it to reinforce the thing that I want versus the thing that I don't want.
It's like, we're going to go back to taking control. You are taking control in a sense, the pathways in which your brain are taking. So rather than just allowing it to do its thing, all over the place.
Right. But that speaks to the things that we can control, like there's a lot of circumstances that can play a part in our day or in our lives that, like my dog getting periodontal disease because it's part of his breed. Like I can't control that.
It's recognizing the areas that you can control. So I could have controlled how I threw the treat, but what I can't control is how quick she is and punchy she is with everything.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a lot of energy and muscle behind her. You know what I'm saying? Like she likes to do everything with power, and that's awesome.
That's a good word. She's a powerhouse.
Right.
In 45 little pound body.
It doesn't seem like she's only 45 pounds.
I mean, she could definitely herd some cows, like headbutt cows. Without a doubt.
I know. I get surprised by Webster and his 20-pound body. Like, how are you so strong? Especially like if I try to cuddle with him, he's not a cuddler. One of these days I'm going to record this and just like post it on social media so y'all can freaking
Straight arm
see.
you.
I get the throat punch from this dog. Like, nah, girl, we're not doing this for longer than 10 seconds, like throat punch. And I'm like, how are you so strong? Like, as I'm trying to breathe, like, like I don't understand it.
I don't think it takes much to feel the throat punch, though.
That's true. That's true. Oh my gosh.
One final aspect to this that just came to mind just now is a level of forgiveness for yourself. So I just had the thought about forgiving myself for feeling like I wasn't good enough to prevent Nova from being so powerful in her treat getting.
Treat getting. I was like, she's just got a mind of her own,
Oh my
she's
God.
going to go for it. But, what a great thing. It's not a great thing that, she broke her tooth and that you're going to have to like deal with the expense of getting that repaired.
That's
But
the positive, right? Is with the original, it didn't happen. So now we only have to pay for one round of anesthesia
There you
versus
go.
two.
there you go. There goes that
Silver
everything happens for a
linings.
reason. Huh? But I mean, but I do feel like, how cool is it that your dog can take a punch and keep going? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Webster would
I
have.
guess.
I don't think Webster would have done that well. Like, literally, he would
Yeah.
have been yelping. He would have like the one time he'd want to cuddle with me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, our other dog Ryder, you're right. He would be completely different.
right. So if it is going to be very sad and happen to anybody, she's got it.
the stronger one.
She got it. But I also want to acknowledge that, it's going to be a great day, the day that our self-awareness comes about to a point where we know exactly what to do to deflect these thought processes that come in, and we don't even need to like have the forgiveness,
Right, because we've created new neural pathways
Right.
that's not even our pattern anymore to
Right.
be self-deprecating.
Exactly. Exactly. High five moment.
Love you.
Love you. You know what we're going to do today? We haven't done this in a few episodes.
I think it's been a couple months.
Has it been a couple of months?
Yeah.
I had a very profound experience recently, as in yesterday. And I was like, I'm going to bring back a card deck it was my very first card deck. I'm definitely the most connected to it. 3 cards came out by themselves just for you guys and probably for us. And we're going to do this today.
I love this.
Me too. Me too. And guess what time it is, you guys? It's time for the collective card reading. Look.
All right. So Shyra's first deck is called The Lightseer's Tarot by Chris Ann.
Yes. I definitely love this one.
So our first card of the day.
I haven't seen him yet. Neither has she.
Nope. 2 of Swords. Now, I will do a general description of the card, but if you want to see these beautiful pieces of art, please hop on over to YouTube if you are listening on audio. So the 2 of Swords, there is a woman with dark hair. It looks like there's something covering her eyes, and there are 2 blackbirds or ravens flying above her, and it almost looks like she is caught in a web of string that they're carrying.
It's so interesting. I get the it almost looks like there's some kind of like a wispiness happening. Or those webs down there, down at the bottom right hand corner, or like across her shirt.
It looks like sand coming from her armpit. Honestly, I don't know if it's like sand blowing around or like a different power that she's sharing. Like maybe it's a scent representation.
I keep getting this like puppet master feel, almost as if like she's the puppet and they're steering the wheel. But
I was getting this being like stuck, contained, like caught in the web.
Yeah.
Of what you don't feel like you can control.
Shall we address the book?
We shall.
Let's address the Chris Ann, the Lightseer's Tarot Guidebook. As always, we do link our decks that we're using on these episodes on our show notes down below. So I don't want to read the whole book out of respect of the artist, but go take a look. It'll link it right to the YouTube. And yes, we get kickback and it helps us with our channel. Thank you very much.
And our website is lovealwaysself.com.
There you go. All right. So from the top, take it from the top. Two of Swords, the Light Seer. They do Shadow Seer as well if you receive the card upside down, but this one isn't, and I don't like to steer towards a shadow. So hey, whatevs. Stalemate, a crossroads, making a difficult choice, opposing ideas or options, choosing the best route of action, memory and thought. So I'll read the first couple of sentences here. You know that feeling of not knowing? It's time to make a choice. And it may seem like you are between a rock and a hard place.
I said that today.
Yeah, I said that yesterday or last night in a really in-depth discussion.
Wait, didn't we also say that on Friday?
We might have. It's possible. If you can't decide which way to go, it's because you can't see the bigger picture yet. The Two of Swords is whispering that you must move in one direction.
That's always tough when you don't know what will be the result of your decision. So what's that, Robert?
Control factor.
Right.
Oh, shit.
What's that, Robert Frost? Like, I came across two roads and I chose to go down the one less traveled. Anyways, it just made me think of the two decisions. Like, you don't know what you're going to happen across and where it's going to lead. But I think there's potential for greatness on either side, depending on your outlook. But yeah, no, I can see this card, how like it definitely represents that with her having the blindfold over.
I like that. I will say, I'm going to read one more sentence from the book because I actually like the guidance that it's giving. Close your eyes and listen to your internal guidance system for your map. If your intuition has fallen unusually silent, it's asking you to trust yourself and your ability to discern and decide. I think that's beautiful.
I mean, there is something to be said for gut instinct as well. And it's so interesting because so many people, like, if you say, well, my gut's telling me this, it's like, psh, what? You're just listening to your stomach? Like, you're not going to like look at the data or anything like that. And so I do think it's a beautiful thing when we can learn to trust our instincts, and it can lead us into the place that we need to be.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I do like that. To the second card.
Oh, Page of Cups. So this card, there's a gentleman sitting on something. There is a, looks like an ocean in the background. I'm going to say it's a Caribbean ocean of sorts. And it's funny because he's sitting on this, I don't know if it's like a block of ice or just a rock, but you can't see his feet from where he's sitting. And if you look at the top of the card, his feet are actually hanging down from the top. So he's sitting lower and the bottom of the card stops just below his knees. And then at the very top of the card, you can see the rest of his lower legs. It feels very playful. And the top right, there's like a gold bowl and a flying pig.
It feels like you just made all that up. We didn't.
In the bottom right-hand corner, you know, when you make a heart with your hands?
Yeah.
It's that in like a wispy form. So almost like a spirit form with a little atom molecule.
Wow.
In that heart shape.
It's got a lot of sneaky stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen this one before, honestly, and I thought I've gone through this entire deck already with how long I've owned it. So
I love how like fantastical this card feels, because like at the very top it's got like the rainbow colors. It just feels like there's this fun playfulness.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun playfulness to this card. The hair blowing in the wind.
What's that saying? Like, oh, I'm not going to trust that like until the pigs fly home or something like that, you know?
Yeah. When pigs fly.
Yeah. When pigs fly, that'll be real, you know, kind of thing. So it's almost like it's making fun of reality by being like, but magic's here too.
Yes. Ooh, you're going to like this one. to the book.
Do it.
A dreamer, serendipity, creativity, new unexpected trajectories, magic and synchronicity, an open and joyful heart, sensitivity and naivety in romance, being motivated by innovative ideas. There is serendipity and magic here. Like the first breath of love or a very first kiss, anything is possible at this time. Be open to wildly wonderful miracles. This is the When Pigs Fly card. I love this. This is the When Pigs Fly card, and holding it in your hands is a sign that unforeseen yet fortuitous events are coming your way. Oh man, that's a good one.
So being open to experiencing the magic in your life.
That's amazing. To the 3.
Number 3, Queen of Swords. So this is a picture of a feminine figure sitting on top of, it looks like a poof ottoman type thing. There is waves in the background. There's 2 flags standing tall. Can't tell what they're connected to. But in the bottom right-hand corner, first, like the flags are actually the primary colors. So blue, red, and yellow. She is sitting there looking thoughtfully. She's got her sword sitting kind of propped up against her. And then at the bottom left-hand side, it's actually a little red bowl, and it's actually looks like imprisoned.
It's almost as if she's guarding this. Like she's keeping it on guard because she's got that sword in her hand. And by the way, love her shoe game at the moment. Just bought some recently that look like that. So that's cool. And it kind of looks like she's guarding that bowl that's in that cage. That's like built into the seat that she's sitting on.
And with it being a red bowl, I went to like the thought of the colors and how they're correlated with the chakras. Reds and browns are more of like that root chakra. And so it's like creating like that safety net. And I'm also thinking of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs in psychology. And so that need to have safety and like safe physical surroundings, you're also working on that mentally too. I can connect that to what you were saying about being protective.
I like I just heard pretty clearly, stand your ground, you know, so
Set those boundaries and protect them, reinforce them.
reinforcing the boundaries. Now I'm even curious.
Interesting.
I'm curious. Let's see here. A thought leader. Unbiased decision making, an excellent communicator, wise and logical counsel, integrity and honesty, being perceptive, intelligence, being direct, seeking truth.
Are these all the words that we were saying about you?
It's funny. I mean, you know, she dresses like me, that's for sure. Highly astute, intellectual, and honest. She watches calmly over her kingdom. Graceful and logical, her wisdom is framed in truth and proof, and she avoids the gossip or fluff that others may want to hear. She asks you to be honest in your relationships, direct in your speech, and witty if you want to be, but above all, to bring your clear-headed, unbiased reasoning to the table. So it could be even, I think that honestly, like, speaks to how you speak to yourself, right?
That's
how
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, like how you feel about yourself and that direction that you're taking within. And before we switch the screen off, I feel very compelled to give everyone the affirmations that came with each of these cards. So for the 2 of Swords, your affirmation is, when blinded by the unknown, I can trust myself to move toward the light. For card number 2, which is the Page of Cups, the world is my flourishing oyster, and I'm excited to see what happens next. And for card number 3, which is the Queen of Swords, I speak with wisdom and clarity.
Oh man, those 3 together. I love that you read those all at the end together. It feels like there's like a picture that's painted with them because you have this decision that you feel blind about, making the choice, but then also recognizing the magic in either path that you choose. and finding the joy and the happiness and the magic that's behind or within each of those paths.
Yeah.
And then as you're moving down these paths, like still being like logical, but compassionate and thoughtful
Yeah.
rather than maybe reactive or just immediately ready to fight and defend kind of stance. So
I love that. I keep getting this like very sincere thought and it just feels that when you are honest and truthful with yourself in that state and place of being loving and compassionate with yourself, you will see the truth a lot easier. You will feel it. You'll be able to discern it within. And then the guidance on what to do next and which of those roads to take will seem a lot clearer.
So what I was thinking about then, back to the initial story for, what happened this morning is that, what I just asked myself, well, what makes a good dog mom? And she is fed regularly. She gets treats every day. Mommy goes and gets new toys like every other week. She gets walked on a regular basis. We play ball umpteen times a day and lots of cuddles. And I think that makes me a pretty good dog mom.
I think you're a fantastic dog mom dog.
So I just want to maybe finish this with that thought, like taking that moment to really ask yourself, what makes yourself a good whatever, or what do you see in yourself that is good? What do you appreciate about yourself? Taking your stance and moving it into somebody else's shoes and looking at you from your spouse's perspective, your parents' perspective, your best friend's perspective, and seeing yourself in that new light and allowing those hurtful things to fall away and hear all the beautiful things that you have to say about yourself.
I love that. That's great advice. You know,
it just came to me. I just practiced
just
it.
right this second. You know what else is great advice, you guys?
Hitting that like and subscribe button. Check it out.
It's really helpful. It actually helps our channel grow and get picked up by that good old algorithm called the YouTube. So, we appreciate it. Also, what is amazing is that we have social media. We're at lovealwaysself on pretty much every platform. That is TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
and YouTube
Shorts. You think that after all the social media that we post, we would
it's because it's said different ways every time.
One of these days, I'm going to get it right. No big deal. Guess what?
We also have a website.
There you go.
Mentioned earlier, it is at lovealwaysself.com. Like Shyra mentioned, you can also find this Light Seers tarot deck on the website as well. If you look under the shop and then Amazon, it'll be listed under there, along with all the other decks that we've used and all of our equipment that we have available, including the journal that we created and other self-care items that we have purchased and utilized and we enjoy.
Yeah, that's very true. And just so you guys know, we are not sponsored by any of the owners or the developers of these decks whatsoever. That is just strictly affiliate links. So, and we appreciate the kickback when it happens. So thank you.
It goes straight back to the podcast to creating more.
Literally that. Amazing, amazing. Today's been good. It's been
better.
And we love you all so, so much. Thank you so much for being here. And we hope to see you soon.
And don't forget to love first.
Love last.
And love always.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista.
And I'm Shyra.
And until next time, remember to love first,
love last,
and love always.
Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.